Hi everyone. I have a serger problem and I've fixed part of it. And the one thing that I noticed is that no one ever really showed me how it works until I started messing with them and fixing them. And this is the Babylock 5260, and it is not a differential feed. And I have two issues that were going on with it. It wouldn't make the chain. And then the presser feet don't want to be good all the time. Sometimes they'll stick and sometimes they'll move, but I did discover something that will solve that problem. When the serger is making the stitches, you have the two needles if you're doing four needle stitching, or just the one, and two bottom threads. So you have inside, you open it up, you've got your lower looper area and you've got your upper looper area. And I'm going to pull the camera in close to show you how to be able to learn how it really works. When it's running, and I'm doing this by hand just so you can watch the movement, when the wheel comes towards you, the lower looper goes down and the upper looper goes down. Then they start to gradually go up in tandem with the needles. Now if those are out of sync, the timing's off, you're not going to get a chain. And as you keep turning and you keep rising, your upper looper comes across to the needles and the lower looper goes to the right. The lower looper's job is to grab both the threads from the needles in time. The upper looper's job is to go in front of the needles so that as they come down, they grab the thread from the upper looper. And that's what forms the stitching or the chain. Now, if your timing is off, you'll know because you can't make a chain. I'm going to show you the position where those needles should be for it to be correct. In order to fix the timing on your serger, or at least from this Babylock, what I had to do, and which helps, is take off the needle plate. I've already taken the screws out, so you can actually see down in there to see what's going on. Now I could take the feed dogs off to make it real visible, but I'm not going to do that because it's more of taking apart than I really want to do. So what you want to start out with is your needles at the lowest point. That's the lowest point. Now I'm going to show you where the lower looper is, and this is where it should be, and then I'll show you how to get it to that position. You should be able to see. I'm back up just a little bit. I'm going to point with something here. I'll use this screwdriver. Okay, here's your needles. Okay, the left needle is the one you want to go by. The left needle, see if I can get in there. There you go. The left needle is down. Trying to get to it so you can see. It's hard to do it this way. There's the needles, okay? I think I see them now. Here's your left needle, right here. Right over here. The lower looper is actually, you can see the lower looper is, let me get in there. You can see the needles going down the side. Here's the back side of the lower looper. Okay? Where my screwdriver is, that's the back of the lower looper. And it comes across. So it's across here. I'm trying to find the point for you. I don't know if you can see, but right behind this left needle, immediately behind there, is the lower looper. It is right behind that needle. Now watch as I pull it, turn it up. Now you're going to see the lower looper come across. Can you see it? Do you see it coming across? The needles are going up, and there's the lower looper right there. That's the lower looper right here. Now, as that comes across, it should have the 2 thread needles. These 2 guys. The thread should be underneath it. That has grabbed it. And you can see right here, those are the back up just a little bit. The threads are right here. Right there, there's the threads on the lower looper. So it grabbed both of them, and that's what it's supposed to do. Now we're going to watch the needles go up. They're going up, right? At their highest point, which is right here before they start to come down. Here's your left needle. Here's your looper. The eye of your looper is right in line with that left needle. And that's where it's supposed to be. So as it comes down, because as it keeps turning, it's going to go down. And those 2 needles are grabbing the looper thread right here. They come down and grab the looper thread. Just like that. And while they're coming down, here's the lower looper. Let's see if I can get him in there. There's the lower looper down there. Okay. He's right here. Going back. Now you'll actually get to see it go behind that left needle. See it go back? See how the needles are all the way down? And that lower looper is right. And as they just start to come up, here comes the lower looper. Finally got this shot for you. See how it comes up and grabs the threads? Just like that. That is perfect timing when it grabs those 2 threads. I've never had anybody show it to me that way. But when I was working on this, I decided I needed to show somebody, because I'm sure I'm not the only one that hadn't had a close-up look like that. And I love the close-up looks that I've seen some people do. And that, to me, that's extremely helpful. If it's not grabbing the 2 threads, if the lower looper's not grabbing the 2 threads, what do you do? Well, in the Babylock, the lower looper has, I'm going to take it close again, sorry. It just makes it easier. The lower looper here, it has, this is the main part of it. There is a hex bolt over here on the end. Right, that's a hex bolt. You loosen this. You loosen the hex bolt, and then you take your hand and you slowly maneuver it. You wiggle it. You wiggle it back and forth. You wiggle this thing back and forth until the tip of that lower looper is right behind that left needle. Once it's there, you go back down to the hex bolt and you tighten it up. To the right, tight, left, loose. The upper looper is a little different. The upper looper has, you'd think it would be here to adjust it as in here. It's not. When you have the needles all the way up, when those 2 needles are all the way up, and they just start to come down, if this looper is not in line with that left needle, the eye of that needle, that looper is not in line with that eye, you have to go down to here. Right here, there's a screw on top. You loosen that. It takes just a regular screwdriver. You loosen that just till you hear it go click, so you know it's loose. If you loosen it too much, you'll end up messing with this thing for hours, like I did the first time I did one of these. And then you grab a hold of it here, and it just slowly, just like with the lower looper, you very slowly adjust. Because as you do this, if you push up, this upper looper will go that way. it'll go towards the needles. If you push down on it, it goes to the right. So depending on where this is, that's out of alignment or out of timing, that's how you know how to push this. You push it down if you need that hole to go towards the needle. You push up on it just slightly to go to the right, to be lined up with the hole in the needle up on the top. Then you tighten that screw up, back up tight, good and snug. I felt good that I could actually remove the camera to show you guys. You don't need to see my face anyway. But once you understand where those are supposed to be in their position, the next time it's not making a chain, you won't feel so aggravated and like, oh great, I gotta get a repairman. But you don't have to. It's one screw and one hex nut screw. That's all it takes to fix the timing, at least on this Babylock Serger. And now that I've actually figured out where everything should be, every serger that's out there, it's the same way. The stitches are always, your overlock stitches, your serger stitches, they're all the same stitch. Whether you use 3 or 4 threads is the difference. And the gears and all the parts of the machine may be different, but the result has to be the same. So adjusting the timing has got to be the same. In other words, the needles above and below, no matter what shape they are, they have to meet at a certain point all the time in that same spot. So I have had different sergers. I've had a Singer, I've got a Pfaff, and this is a brother, not brother, haven't had a brother one yet. Why haven't I had a brother one yet? But anyway, this is the Babylock, and I have several. This is a vintage one, like late 80s, early 90s, and then I have one that's even older, and I really like that one. It doesn't ever mess up, but that's because it's more metal. Yeah, this is metal, but there's a lot of plastic. And actually the other one I have is a differential feed in the older model too, which is kind of unusual for me anyway. But that's how you make sure you're going to have a good chain. In the respect of if your tension's good, that's one thing. But if it's not making a chain at all, tension's got nothing to do with it. It's timing. A lot of people mistake timing for tension and vice versa. And it's not. They're not the same. Timing is where the needles meet in order to make the connection to make the stitches. Where tension is the stitches being loose or tight or making the fabric roll when you don't want it to. So I hope that is helpful to you. And when I solve the feed dog issue, I will make sure that y'all see it, because there is nothing, I could not find anything on this particular model Babylock, and being that it was in the late 80s and early 90s era time, I'm sure there's a lot of folks that have one and have come across things like this, and they can't find any help. There's no service manual for it. I've looked. There's a manual. I don't have one of those either. I did, I don't know what happened to it. But so if you have a machine and they actually made a service manual and you are able to get your hands on it, get it. Because what a service manual is, it's so that you don't have to have a maintenance man. It shows you how the thing is supposed to work and where the places are that you have to adjust it to make it work right. I have a couple of vintage machines that actually had service manuals printed, and I got them, and they've been a lifesaver for some strange things. The sergers are finicky because when you're changing from one kind of fabric to another, it can throw them off and it can throw the timing off. And if you're like me, the first time I had a serger timing go crazy, I went, I don't know how to do that. Oh God, do I have to have someone fix it? And I go, no, it wasn't in the budget. So I learned how to do it. Did you like this one? I hope so. I hope it was helpful. I hope it wasn't helpful. I hope it was informative. Like I said, doesn't matter what kind of serger you have. Timing is timing. And the timing has to be where those needles meet, as I just showed you, with that left needle. Don't worry about the right one. Worry about the left one. The left one's what we use as a guide. Because when you're doing 3 threads instead of 4, some models will say to use one needle or the other, to use just the left or just the right. And this one, it's the left. So if you've liked what you've seen, if you'd like to see more, please leave me a comment. Definitely give me a thumbs up. I mean, I've had my issues, and I always try to solve them, and I usually do pretty good solving them, so that's why I'm sharing. Definitely subscribe to this channel. I haven't done any maintenance videos in a while, and I was overdue. And when you have things come up with your own machines that you're using on a regular basis, it's not a bad thing to share it. Because when you love to sew, what do? You just keep sewing.